Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has turned on the fasten seatbelt sign. If you haven't already done so, please make sure the volume of this podcast is set perfectly to your listening enjoyment. Please take your seat, whether that's on the treadmill, car, sofa, or bed, and buckle in for the last trip. My name is Jamie Beebe, and I'll be your tour guide, recreating someone's last days in paradise. On behalf of myself and everyone behind the scenes, please enjoy the Last Trip podcast. And because nobody likes a long flight to get to where they want to be, let's prepare for takeoff. Travis Sackett was an experienced traveler with a passion for service. He dedicated years to volunteering with AmeriCorps and the Peace Corps, working in Peru and Guatemala, and most recently, lending a hand in Ecuador. On February 21st, just 2 months into his stay in Ecuador, Travis set out on what should have been a routine hike. The trail wasn't particularly challenging, and witnesses reported seeing him during the day. But he never returned. Was it a tragic accident along the path? Or could something more sinister have occurred? Despite extensive searches, no trace of Travis has ever been found. To this day, his disappearance remains a mystery. What really happened to Travis Sackett? Travis traveled to Ecuador after joining the platform Workaway. Workaway is a volunteer exchange platform where people can exchange pre-agreed amount of time per day in exchange for lodging and food provided by the host. The time exchange varies and can include gardening, taking care of animals, cooking, farming, or even more specialized types of help. It's great for budget travelers who want to give back to the communities they visit, and it allows them to really become immersed in the local culture. It's something I've looked at in the past and would love to get involved in one day. Through Workaway, Travis went to Ecuador to volunteer for a farm near the village of Pimampiro called Eco Finca Cabrera. The city of Pimampiro is a hidden gem, perfect for those seeking off-the-beaten-path experiences, a connection to nature, and immersion in Ecuadorian culture. It's more of a quiet and serene place rather than a popular tourist attraction. Eco Finca Cabrera is an eco-friendly retreat located in the San Jose de Imbabura community, approximately 2 kilometers from the Pimampiro viewpoint in the Imbabura province, Ecuador. The finca offers a family-style cabin with social areas, 3 rooms with shared bathrooms, a kitchen, and a private suite boasting a spectacular view of the volcano. Workaway guests help in harvesting and producing organic coffee, tobacco, beer, and chocolate in exchange for their stay. They can also experience natural healing through temazcal, the traditional steam bath and vapor section with medicinal plants, aimed at enhancing physical and mental health. They also have guided tours, hiking, and excursions exploring land around the finca. One of those hikes is to the Imbabura volcano, known as Sacred Father. It's the hike Travis left for when he went missing. It's an extinct stratovolcano that has an elevation of a little over 15,000 feet. It offers breathtaking views and an excellent opportunity for outdoor enthusiasts to explore something so unique. The hike is moderately challenging and suited for experienced hikers with good physical fitness. So Travis should have been just fine on this hike. And he did this hike previously without any problems. The main route typically starts in La Esperanza. The hike to the summit takes about 5 to 8 hours, depending on your pace and acclimation level. The trail is well marked and goes through farmland, grasslands, and rocky highlands. But there are also steep areas, rocky paths, and high-altitude conditions. Acclimation is essential due to the high altitude, and because Travis had already been staying in the area, he should have been used to it by then. Beyond altitude and the steep and rocky terrain, there are other dangers people can run into on the hike. The weather on Imbabura can change rapidly, with sudden rain, fog, or strong winds, even during the dry season. That can greatly affect visibility and risk of losing the trail. Also, temperatures can drop significantly, especially near the summit where Travis was last seen, making hypothermia a possibility. and in certain sections, loose rocks may fall, especially if disturbed by other hikers above. But many people hike the volcano daily, and there are no problems. Knowing the hike wasn't extremely dangerous, and Travis was familiar with the area, makes his disappearance that much more mysterious. Let's get to know more about Travis Sackett. Travis was truly a unique, one-of-a-kind person. He was a joy to be around and a great friend to everyone he met. His parents, Lucy and Scott Sackett, own an antique shop in his hometown of Batavia, New York, and are well known within the community. Batavia is known for the small town vibe, friendly people, and relaxed pace of life. The city has community events like summer concerts, art shows, and festivals. There are plenty of green spaces and trails for walking, biking, and picnicking. While it was an amazing place to grow up, Travis wanted to see the world and do his part to help people and the environment. So after graduating from Batavia High School in 2003, Travis served several AmeriCorps and Peace Corps terms. AmeriCorps is a program where people volunteer to help communities across the U.S. while gaining valuable skills and experiences. Think of it as a domestic version of the Peace Corps, but focused on tackling challenges like education, poverty, disaster relief, and the environment while staying in the United States. Members join for a set period of time, usually about a year, and work on projects like tutoring kids, building homes, responding to natural disasters, or protecting parks. In return, they get a small living allowance, money to help pay for college or student loans, and often training and experience that can boost their careers. It's a way to give back, learn, grow, while making a real difference in communities that need support. But Travis wanted to travel and help people around the world, not just in the United States. So he also joined the Peace Corps. This is a program where people volunteer to go to other countries and help communities with important projects. It's run by the U.S. government and focuses on things like education, health, agriculture, and the environment. Volunteers usually live in a country for 2 years, working directly with local people to solve problems or share skills. For example, they might teach kids in a school, help farmers grow crops more efficiently, or work on clean water projects. In return, volunteers get the chance to travel, learn about new cultures, gain valuable experience, and make a positive impact in the world. It's about building friendships and understanding between people from different countries while doing meaningful work. And Travis loved it. He cultivated deep friendships and helped people throughout the world. He was living his dream of making a difference while traveling and experiencing different cultures. When he was between missions, he volunteered through programs like Workaway. He was known for his love of the outdoors, hiking, and traveling, spending a lot of time in Peru and Guatemala before going to Ecuador. Travis traveled to Ecuador on December 21st, 2020, for his most recent volunteer opportunity with Ecofinca Cabrera. He was volunteering in exchange for a free room and board, and in the meantime, he would often hike and was immersing himself in the country and the culture. But this trip would be Travis's last. On Sunday, February 21st, 2021, Travis left Ecofinca Cabrera to do a day hike at the Imbabura volcano, something he had done before. The only difference was that this time, he never came back. When Travis failed to show up at the Ecofinca for work the next day, on February 22nd, his host family reported him missing. He had gone on the hike alone and brought his day pack, but it's not known what supplies or how much supplies he had in his pack. He was an experienced hiker, so it's assumed he had some supplies in case of an emergency. And there very well could have been some kind of an emergency. The evening of the hike, the weather became very foggy, which could have resulted in Travis getting lost or having some other type of an accident. The hiking trails he would have encountered on the way up the volcano were not incredibly dangerous, but there is a concern that he met with some harm in the wild. This could include getting lost, falling, any type of accident, or even a wild animal. There are venomous snakes, rare sightings of mountain lions, and even the occasional aggressive wild boar. But if he had met up with one of these animals, it's likely searchers would have found clues pointing in that direction. The most harmful animal he could have met up with on that hike would have been human, which means there is the possibility of foul play. When the people at Eco Finca realized Travis never came back from his hike, they searched the trails for him, but they came up empty-handed. And for reasons unknown, rescue teams didn't start a formal search for him until February 25th and 26th, nearly 5 days after he vanished. By then, they were completely unsuccessful in those searches, not finding a single clue to where he was or where he could be. Once his friends and family were notified he was missing, they rushed to get the word out and asked for help through social media. They discovered through Facebook posts that there were several witnesses who saw him while he was hiking. They know at one point he was close to the peak, but no one saw Travis after the hike. Travis's family offered a $2,000 reward, but no other witnesses came forward and no signs of Travis were found. Citizens throughout the area began forming their own groups to help in the search, but they also found nothing. If Travis was lost or had an accident on the hike, searchers should have found some sign of him or his belongings. A third formal search for Travis took place on Thursday, March 4th, with his family giving the following update. March 4th, there was another search for Travis, but nothing was found. The cloud cover in the volcano makes visibility and the search difficult. We do not know when the police will conduct another search, but we are going to try and hire local guides to conduct searches independently of the police. A big thank you to all who donated for making it possible to offer a reward and to attempt to hire more people to aid in the search for Travis. On March 6th, the reward for finding Travis was raised from $2,000 to $4,000. On March 8th, 15 days after Travis vanished, his family assembled a team of local guides familiar with the volcano, and they set off on yet another search. These guides were trained in wilderness first aid, and some had search and rescue experience. One of them was even trained in vertical search and rescue. They were coordinating with the local police to cover new ground, so they weren't searching the same areas in vain. Lobos Trekking and a team of 12 locals also joined in the search, even interviewing witnesses and others who were on the volcano that day in order to zoom in on the most likely areas Travis could have been. A team with specially trained search and rescue dogs also joined the search. The dogs had access to some of Travis's belongings, hoping they'd find his trail, but they came up empty. These groups searched through March 11th and still found absolutely no sign of Travis. And I can't stress enough that there wasn't a single clue found. If Travis was lost, had an accident, or fell on his hike, one of the search and rescue teams would have found something. On March 14th, Travis's family put out a new update saying, "This past week had several searches for Travis. This morning, there were some volunteers at the volcano using a drone to try to see if they could gather any helpful images. We also had a hired group of guides searching with a drone and drone operator. Tomorrow morning, the group of guides will return to the volcano to search again. This has all been possible from the GoFundMe donations. On Wednesday, there will be a large police-led search of 60-plus people. There will be a helicopter, a drone, police, firefighters, volunteers, Red Cross, and police dogs. We are very hopeful to find Travis in the coming days." But on March 18th, they updated everyone that the large search was not what they hoped for, saying, "Unfortunately, yesterday's large-scale search did not result in finding Travis. The search was cut short due to weather. Because of the weather, a helicopter and drones were not used. The police have said they will conduct another search next week. Hopefully, they will be able to conduct a more extensive search using all of their resources." But unfortunately, that large search didn't happen either. And on March 30th, they updated everyone that local groups were still searching and focusing on areas that had not yet been searched. The local groups would then let the police know where they searched. So when the police were able to conduct that other large-scale operation, they'd know where to go. Lobos Trekking was still conducting regular searches and even camping on the volcano for nights at a time, but they found nothing. With still no word from Ecuadorian authorities, in late April, Travis's family hired Louth Investigations out of Indianapolis. Led by Thomas Louth, the Louth Investigations Missing Person Team has over 40 years combined experience working closely with families of endangered and at-risk missing persons. Their team regularly cooperates with local, state, and federal law enforcement, missing persons organizations nationwide, and with national media. And many families feel they have to hire a private investigator when their loved one goes missing, especially when it's in another country. There's so much more to deal with when different cultures, languages, and lifestyles are involved in a search like this. Thomas and his team traveled to Ecuador to aid in the search. In late July, 5 months after Travis was reported missing, another formal search was organized. This time, it involved Louth Investigations, the Imbabura Fire Department, the National Police, groups of private hikers, the Quito firefighters, and Army personnel. But even with that huge search team, they did not find a single sign of Travis. From there, the case grew cold and the searches stopped. Over a year later, on March 7th, 2022, Travis's mom, Lucy, released a final statement regarding his disappearance. She said, "Thank you for your ongoing support and well wishes over the past year. Your concern and care is greatly appreciated. I wanted to share with you an update in regard to the status of the search for Travis. In the past 6 months, due to conditions in Ecuador, the investigation has been delayed several times. Our international missing persons expert investigator, Tom, has scheduled a second trip down to Ecuador in mid-March. Recently, heavy rains have caused mudslides that have made it dangerous to gain access to the area of the search. The military and police are currently working in these areas, and at the time of Tom's arrival, they will also have a team available to aid in the search. We've also been told that the community in Ecuador has expressed their concern about the devastating disappearance of an American young man and are praying for answers. Just so you know, 100% of the funds that were donated to the GoFundMe and to us were used to pay for the initial searches, for vetted professional guides for the volcano, and to fund the expert investigator and his team. Scott and I have been keeping busy with our antique business, and I wake up every day with a sense of hope for new information. We are hoping that the search will proceed as scheduled, and we will let you know as soon as we hear anything. Again, we are so grateful for the support and kindness that you have provided us during these difficult times." And that had to have been an extremely hard update for Travis's mother to write. But there were many comments and posts on Reddit asking why they weren't doing more, why there were so few updates, and why the case disappeared from the media. I think what those people don't understand is how utterly draining and devastating it is to search for a missing loved one. And when you add in that the person is missing in another country, it can be even more difficult to navigate, more expensive, and there are often less resources available. In Travis's disappearance, no clues have ever been found. There are no sightings. His things weren't found. Absolutely nothing. So, there are no more updates for his family to make. And when there are no clues or updates, unfortunately, a case will go cold until new information comes out. While this case remains a complete mystery, there are some theories. I think the theory most likely is that Travis had some kind of an accident on the volcano while hiking. Either he fell, got lost in the fog, or even met some kind of wild animal. Under most circumstances, if there was some kind of accident, and after that many searches, someone would have found a clue. We know from witness accounts that Travis made it almost to the top of the volcano. But another theory is that he also made it back down and met with foul play on his way back to Eco Finca. He could have been hit by a car, could have been a robbery gone wrong, or maybe he saw something he shouldn't have, and the criminals made sure he wouldn't talk. Maybe he met up with a friend after his hike, and there was an altercation, and Travis was killed. When there are no clues, anything is a possibility. Kidnappings have risen dramatically since the COVID-19 pandemic. Kidnappers mainly target locals, but foreigners have also been snatched. Some victims are released in exchange for ransom, but there was never a ransom for Travis. Which brings us to a darker motive: organ trafficking. Most organ trafficking comes from impoverished locals who answer an ad looking to make money. They sell something like a kidney, and the surgery is done poorly, sometimes resulting in death. If they live, they may make a small bit of money, while the brokers keep the majority. While it is possible that Travis was kidnapped, his organs were trafficked, and he was murdered, it's also unlikely. It's much riskier to kidnap a foreigner and harvest his organs than it is to find a local who will do it willingly for a small amount of money. Another theory that bounced around in a few Reddit chat rooms was that Travis had done something unlawful or knows something valuable to the police in Ecuador, and he was put into some type of witness protection program. Many people assumed this was the reason for the lack of updates in his case. But I can't get behind this as a theory. There were too many searches, and too much money was spent looking for Travis. If the police knew where Travis was, they would not have put that many resources into looking for him. The truth is, unless Travis is found, or someone comes forward with information, we may never know what happened to him. His family and Ecuadorian authorities are still looking for him. When asked about Travis's case, the National Directorate of Investigation of Crimes Against Life, Violent Deaths, Disappearances, Kidnappings, and Extortion said the case will not be closed until the foreigner's whereabouts are determined. And they believe Travis got lost or suffered an accident on the volcano. Is Ecuador a safe place to visit? Overall, on vacation in Ecuador, you'll likely be just fine. The U.S. Travel Advisory has Ecuador at a level 2, which is to exercise increased caution due to civil unrest, crime, and kidnapping. Like many countries, crime is a widespread problem. In Ecuador, violent crime, such as murder, assault, kidnapping, and armed robbery, is prevalent, but it also depends on where in the country you are. The rate of violent crime is significantly higher in areas where transnational criminal organizations are concentrated. In Ecuador, there are 22 narco groups that control the drug smuggling trade through the country, and the president wants to get rid of all the groups to prevent the country from becoming a true narco state. This friction has led to murders and kidnappings, especially in cities crucial to the success of the drug trade. The ports of Ecuador are an important part of the drug trade of cocaine to the United States and Europe, and are thought to be part of the Mexican drug trade pipeline as well. In January 2024, 2 major gang leaders escaped prison and set off a chain of terror and violence throughout the nation. So violent crime is happening and can happen at any given moment there, just like any other country in the world. If you're going to Ecuador on vacation, you'll likely be in a vacation destination. Violent crime organizations rarely target tourist destinations. The Galapagos Islands are the most popular tourist destination within Ecuador. They are highly protected by the government for environmental and sustainable efforts. Because of the isolated economy of the islands being tourism, the islands are extremely safe. Staying safe in Ecuador, and really anywhere, has a lot to do with common sense, experience, and knowledge. For example, if you're from a major city like Los Angeles, Chicago, or New York, you probably understand how cities work and have a higher tolerance for what you would consider unsafe within a city. If you've traveled often and have been in different cultures and situations, you're likely to be more experienced when it comes to staying safe. Beyond typical safety advice, there are some laws and customs in Ecuador that you may not know about. In some areas, alcohol sales are restricted or banned on Sundays, especially during election periods or national holidays. And even if you clearly look over 18, it's common for stores to ask for identification when buying alcohol. Ecuador also prohibits importing certain items, like used clothing, tires, and some electronic devices, to protect local industries. But travelers bringing personal belongings won't usually have any issues. So go ahead and pack all your cute outfits. When using the bathroom, keep in mind that in most places, plumbing systems cannot handle toilet paper. So it is customary to dispose of it in a bin provided in the bathroom. And one really odd custom is that in some indigenous communities, shamans use guinea pigs to diagnose illnesses. This practice is taken seriously and considered a legitimate form of traditional medicine. The shaman rubs a live guinea pig over a person's body, then sacrifices the animal and examines its organs to determine the cause of the ailment. And in Ecuador, while it may seem weird in other cultures, eating guinea pig is deeply rooted in cultural tradition that dates back to pre-Columbian times. They were domesticated by indigenous peoples of the Andes for over 5,000 years, primarily for food, and were considered a valuable source of protein, often raised in households. Today, guinea pig is usually served during festivals, weddings, and other special occasions. Many tourists try it as a cultural experience, though it can be shocking to those who view guinea pigs as pets. And if this shocks you, it's important to be respectful about it and approach the topic with cultural sensitivity, as it holds historical and ceremonial importance to many communities. One of the most important safety tips I can give you, especially after covering Travis's disappearance, is to never go hiking alone. Even if it's a hike you've done previously and it's not that difficult, you just don't know what could happen. Accidents, getting lost, falling, meeting up with the wrong person. If you're alone and something happens, you have a much smaller chance of survival. And most importantly, no matter where you're traveling, make sure you inform someone about your plans before going anywhere. Tell someone reliable where you're going and what you'll be doing and when to expect you back. And my number one tip to staying alive on vacation is to pay attention to your gut. If something doesn't feel right, it isn't. Travis Sackett disappeared while hiking at the Imbabura volcano in Ecuador on February 21, 2021. He was 36 years old, 6 feet tall, about 170 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes. He often had a full beard and wore glasses. He was last seen wearing a light puffy jacket, shorts, boots, a hat, a headlamp, his glasses, and he was carrying hiking poles. If you have any information about Travis's whereabouts, please contact this WhatsApp number, 593-999-933-3148, or reach out on Facebook at Find Trav. Travis's family and friends miss him terribly, and they are still searching for answers on what happened or where he may be. If you have any information at all, now is the time to speak up. And finally, remember to leave a review and rate this podcast 5 stars if you like the show, or hell, even if you don't. But either way, feel free to let me know what you think. Please follow The Last Trip on Instagram at The Last Trip Crime Pod, and subscribe on Patreon to support the show. You'll get extra research, videos, photos, and updates, and even learn more about my personal travels. That's patreon.com/thelasttrippodcast. I'm Jamie Beebe, bringing you your last trip and signing out until the next one. Thanks for listening.